my name is Kimberly Ingram, and my company is called Open Heart Musicals. And we develop children's musicals that give every kid a part to play. And my most important priority is kind of bring that Bible story to life and really give them the opportunity to feel like they're a part of that and really memorize that story and also apply it. Figure out some ways that, oh my gosh, this is talking about me. So that is what we do. And I'm going to give you now my contact information. So if I show anything at all that you're like, oh, I wish that I knew to ask about that, or I need some handouts on this, anything, this is how you contact me. My email address, that's my cell phone number. So now you know, and we will go ahead and get started. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was the idea of auditions. Way back in the day, we used to make auditions this very formal process where we would gather all of the kids in a room. We would send them home with some practice lines that were supposed to come back, having practiced those, and they would kind of get all nervous and they would get up and present their lines. And over the years, I really have found out that this is not the ideal way to really get an idea of what your kids can do. So we developed this thing that I am calling the covert audition. And the way that we're going to handle this is we are going to do some drama games with the kids, and we're going to make the whole thing feel super, super fun. And then when it comes time to audition, I'm not going to tell them we're auditioning. All we're doing is we're playing a name game. So I've taught them this very simple little pattern. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. So
I
I'm
think
hearing somebody. Are you hearing somebody? How strange. Anyway, so here is what the covert audition looks like, and here's the little pattern that we're going to do. The kids just have to memorize this. My name is, and they fill in with their first name. I am in, and they tell us what grade they're in. And then they tell us a food that they either really like or they really do not like. So they would just fill in that blank. I really like, fill in the blank, or I really do not like, fill in the blank. Very easy. And we give them a demo of that. We have one of the teachers or one of the youth demonstrate what it looks like. And the most important thing is we tell them, if you want to, you can show us how you feel about that food with your face, with your body, with the way you express it, with your words, whatever you would like to do. And we get them started. This is a really neat thing, and let me show you how this goes. It is the neatest way to audition kids because you're going to find out every single thing you know about who is ready for a speaking part. These are the types of things you're going to see. Let's stand up. I'm going to have to pretend to be a little bit of an Oompa Loompa here and kind of get down so that you can see kind of my full view. But if a child is comfortable, they will probably get up and they say, hello. My name is Eric. I'm in second grade and I really like pepperoni pizza. And that's, pretty easy, pretty basic, no problem. That kid is probably ready for a speaking part. They stayed pretty still. They managed to keep their hands still and they managed to deliver the line. But here's some of the types of things that you will start to see from children who are not quite ready yet. They're going to start taking their clothes and they're going to do all kinds of things with their clothes, and they're otherwise going to close off. They're going to go and then they're going to speak really, really softly. I've even had a kid do this game and hold a foot. It's amazing. And they are telling you they're not quite ready for a big speaking part. No matter what mom says they're ready for, they are still a little uncomfortable in their bodies. They're still feeling a little bit of trepidation with that. So we're going to choose some part for that child that puts them in a group and it helps them be successful. And then as you're thinking about, okay, well, who are going to be the leads in my show? You're going to have a select handful of kids who are going to come up and they're going to be, hello, my name is Cooper. I am in 5th grade at McDonald Middle School, and I really, really, really cannot stand broccoli. Blech. They're going to show you all of that. And you go, hey, Cooper, Cooper is ready for prime time. Cooper can take anything that I told him to do, and he is probably ready and wants that big part. Cooper enjoys this kind of thing. Now, my goal as their drama teacher is to get everybody to the point where they feel comfortable and confident on stage. But I'm just going to use this as part of my diagnostic process about really who is ready and who's going to need some more support. So you're still welcome to audition with lines, by the way, but the most important information you'll get is through that drama game. So that's really an easy way to approach it. So here are some other things. That is called easy-breezy auditions. Some other things that we do with the kids is we always take the time to do a lot of different drama games with them that kind of get them into that zone where they feel really comfortable. So here's some examples of that. One of them is that we're going to talk about the different levels of voice that you can use either in choir or on the stage. So this is one of those things that works really well in choir class as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you echo me, and I know you guys are on mute, but this is what it would sound like. This is my whisper voice. This is my speaking voice. This is my singing voice. This is my stage voice. This is my speaking voice. This is my stage voice. Right. And even though I cannot hear you guys, I'm watching you put more into it. We're doing that as a group. So you have that, all of that confidence in numbers, and the kids are feeling pretty comfortable doing it. But what I need them as their drama director to really get the idea is that it feels like when you're just talking normally that you're using a perfectly good voice on stage, but actually we need to turn that volume up probably 4 or 5 clicks more than what they think that they're going to need. And I need them to get used to the feeling of that, what it feels like to project and fill up that space. So that's one game that you can play that's a really easy one. There's another one that is called Boom Chicka Boom. And we can do things like we can practice all of our different vocals. This is a group game. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a patch, clap, clap. And all you're going to do is echo me. And I'm going to do this with a bunch of different voices and also a bunch of different characters and effects. And the wackier I am and the wackier I can get them to be, the wackier and more wonderful that they will end up being on stage. Again, it's all about getting them comfortable with each other, comfortable expressing themselves. So here's the way that this goes. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka, rocka, chicka boom. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. One more time. Baby voice. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka, rocka, chicka boom. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. One more time. Opera voice. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka rocka, chicka boom. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. One more time. Stage voice. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka boom. I said a boom, chicka rocka, chicka boom. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. No more times. Whisper voice. So you're going to bring back down that temperature at the end of that. That's always good to end on a whisper voice. But you get the idea. We can be practicing lots of different movements. And again, you are in a group, so everybody's doing this all together. That strength in numbers thing is really something that's going to work beautifully for you. So that's an example of a very little multi-purpose warm-up that I think you're going to enjoy. Let me show you this one that is a lot of fun. I'm just looking for my notes. So one of our big priorities is that we would like for the kids to have a part to play, whether they have done really wonderfully in those auditions and they're ready for that big lead. If they don't have a big lead, I still want them to have that feeling of, wow, my part in this play is very important. So this little musical, More Power to You, this is our little musical that I'm really afraid is going to get lost to the pandemic. And it's interesting to me because it has almost a pandemic theme. You see that little GITOP, that little, it stands for gigantic, intimidating, troublesome, overwhelming problem. Now that little mountain thing is a prop that appears on stage, but we never really identify what the problem is. We have a main character though who is facing a get-up, and the get-up is always following him around on that stage. And our musical becomes about opening some Bible stories that shows how do we find the strength and the courage and the power to overcome those gigantic, intimidating, troublesome, overwhelming problems. So it's kind of neat. This little book has actually 3 skits for you that if you want them to stand alone and you want to use them in a setting where you are in a church camp, they're really funny little skits. So as a by the way, they would work just great for youth and they would work even for adults. I really try to make it so that the humor translates all the way up. So even though they're simple, they should still be funny to whatever audience is hearing them. So we've got this little get up. The 3 stories that we're going to open, one of them is talking about Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. And our ultimate lesson on that one is going to be, we're going to follow God's plan instead of our own plan. We may have an idea, but we don't know unless we really pray over it and seek the guidance what God's plan might be. So what happens is, we're going to open that Bible story and we're going to do it. There's a little kid who wants to be the director. So that's another point, you know, we're another special part for a kid. But now what we're going to do is we're going to reenact Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. And this is how we're going to do it. And this is how a lot of kids get something special to do. First of all, if you want to have 40 troops who are part of your Joshua army, you can have 40. If you want to have 10, you can have 10. But it's very cool to be part of the Joshua troops. And we're going to get a lot of scripture memorization into this because the way that that skit opens is they assemble the troops, attention, and they'll ha! and they all march down the aisles saying that Bible verse. So they're marching, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid. And they all assemble on stage into two lines and they turn around, but the scripture verse itself is what has brought them in, right? And so now Joshua assembles the troops. We talk about the wall. The wall is a really, we used some of that rear projection, and we showed a picture of the wall behind them. And the way that you create the illusion of a wall is you have everybody who's on the stage, they turn around, look behind them, and then they turn back and they go, whoa, that is some wall. So they all have that group line, got strength in numbers, and now we've established, okay, we're in Jericho with very minimal scenery needed. And so now it becomes about Joshua trying to build up those troops. They're ready for the mission. And this is where this gets kind of special and really fun. So let me ask the two of you, my two wonderful volunteers, I want you to think about the idea of Joshua and the Battle of Jericho, and I want you to think about really seeing that wall, really seeing it. And then you hear someone like Joshua say, okay, we're going to march around it once every day for 7 days, and then on the 7th day we're going to do this 7 times, and then we're going to blow our trumpets and the wall is going to come tumbling down. And imagine for just a second how you might feel about that. And imagine further, maybe you have a different plan. So I want you to think for just a second, and what I would do is I would take the kids and I would put them in groups of 3 or 4. And I would give them 5 minutes to come up with their own plan for bringing down the wall of Jericho. But the key is you may not use any modern day weaponry of any kind. You have to only use the types of things that you might have had access to in Bible times. It's actually a very important instruction because those little boys who are gamers. So let me have you either unmute, think about it for just a second, and unmute and tell me your crazy plan for bringing down the wall of Jericho.
I think we should spend at least 8 hours a day with our pickaxes going through to try to weaken at least one point in the wall that we could breach.
I really like that idea. That's a very good idea. So pickaxes, and we're going to try to find a weak spot in the wall, and we're going to breach that spot. How about you, Eric? Can you think of anything?
I'm still thinking, but I think we can maybe get some people to scale the wall and open it from inside.
Scale the wall and open it from inside. Now that's a very interesting plan too, right? So the magic of this is that you've got these little kids, they're in a group and they're coming up with those plans, and then you give them a minute to stand up and present exactly what you just said, right? The way that the skit goes is this. You've had the kids explain the plan, so I now have Breck's pickaxe plan. We're going to find a breach in the wall, and I have Eric's scale the wall plan. So the way that this goes is that in that script, I have room for those lines. And the group that came up with that plan, Joshua's whole shtick is he gets up and said, all right, we're going to bring down this wall. I have a plan, and it is, and the kids interrupt him, and that little group who came up with the pickaxe plan, they go, oh, I know, and they run forward, and they're all around one microphone, and each of them has a part of that. So the lines that they made up themselves, that becomes part of the show. So they say, we're gonna take pickaxes and we're gonna find a vulnerable spot in the wall and we're going to work on it for at least 8 days. And then we're going to breach it. And that's how we're going to do it. At the end of that, all of the troops go, oh, yay! Beat that wall! Beat that wall! Beat that wall! Just like it is on what is it? American Ninja Warrior, right? And then Joshua goes, no, that's not the plan. The plan is, and then Eric's group, I know, we're going to build a really gigantic ladder. And then the next part of his group, and we're going to climb up the ladder and we're going to launch ourselves over. And then we're going to sneak over to, and so you can see these lines can become whatever the kids came up. They're putting their creativity into it. And Joshua's like, the kids are, yay, beat that wall, beat that wall. So again, you have all the troops, they have a ton of things to do. And if a child wanted a line and a special part, they were in charge of giving themselves one. All they had to do was work with their groups and brainstorm it. And at the end, Joshua is saying, no, that's not the plan. Here's the plan. And he explains the plan. Now, the skit has a lot of other funny things to it. We really go into explaining what the plan was. There's still some reluctance. And the way that that skit ends is that the kids have designed their own choreography. And Joshua says, all right, troops, what did God tell us about having courage to follow the plan? And with their choreography that they've made up, they all as a group say, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And then it has a big ending. So now they've reenacted Jericho, but they've also given some thought. If I were there, maybe this plan would not sound so good to me. Maybe I would have wanted to follow mine, but Joshua has said, no, we're required to follow God's plan. So we've given ourselves this way where we can discuss all of that. So that is just one little example of a creative way, and you can use that kind of basic idea in a lot of different skits, but this one is sort of tailor-made for it, where you let the kids plug in and make it special because it's unique to them. The skit will be slightly different with every group that performs it. I had one group, I think one of their big plans was Jenga. I thought it was so cute. It was basically yours, Breck, is that they just thought you could just find one little thing and tap it out, and then the whole thing falls down like Jenga. And it was such a cute little moment for that child. And mom's like, oh, she had that line. You know, they have a little video moment. So there's other little things in here that allow, and again, these skits do stand on their own. So there's another one that is about, let me see, the Do Not Fear skit, which is a really good one. So we enact the Jesus Walks on Water skit. That's a lot of fun. And then there's this last one that's a lot of fun that's talking about standing on the rock, the house on the rock, or the house on the sand. So again, this is another way where a whole bunch of kids can have a special part to play. There will be, as they act out the skit, there's one group that's the construction crew, and they come on and they build the house. So they've got their cool hard hats. They haven't had to speak during the show, but they've had to bring the elements of the house and set it up. And that's a pretty funny little thing. And then you have the stormtroopers, T-R-O-U-P, and they come on and they are the wind and the waves that bring down the house that's not on the rock. So if we built the house on the sand, so when they come and we talk about, and the winds blew and the streams rose and they beat against that house, they had all of those group lines as stormtroopers and all of these props that they're waving. So they had, again, their very special little part to play, but they've been able to do it as a group and grow in confidence that way. So that is a little bit about More Power to You. I think it's a really fun little show. I'm hoping that some people will find their way to it. We put a lot of videos with it and a lot of things that really demonstrate some of that. So I think I want to end. Are we almost out of time, or are we still going well on time? Trying to
Yeah,
see.
I think we're good with time.
1:40, do we have till 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Then we have a lot of things that we can still do. This is awesome. Let me show you a couple of things that you can do for crowd control. So anytime that we are running a drama camp of any kind or doing musicals, we need a lot of options in our pocket for crowd control. And I think that I'm going to end up demonstrating this in every single meeting. But honestly, if it is the only thing that anybody at this whole conference hears me say, this is like having a magic superpower in your pocket. I promise you, if you ever work with children, you need to remember this one. You will not even remember my name, but you go, oh, I'm so happy that that chick taught me this. So let me show you. We're at Arlington yesterday. The kids have come back from lunch and they're wild. They are really amped up. And the normal thing that people do is they go, all right, I need everybody. Or they're doing the clap pattern, you know, making them clap and whatever. But the energy level and kind of the, I guess I call it the temperature of the room is still really, really high. It's still likely to go. So you've got to find a way to bring that temperature down. Here's how to do it. And I'm fairly sure it's a common technique, but I think I may have first heard Mark Burrows teach it. And this is how to do it. You'll have to do it with me. You have this really wild group in front of you, and you're going to start by identifying just the group right here. And we're going to play a game. And I'm going to look at just that group who can see me. And I go, if you can hear me, put your hands on your head. If you can hear me, put your hands on your shoulders. If you can hear me, wiggle your ears. If you can hear me, touch your nose. If you can hear me, clap your hands 4 times. If you can hear me, wave goodbye. If you can hear me, raise your hands up. So what I've done is I have successively gotten quieter and quieter and quieter. And what you will watch, an entire group that's on stage, they will realize that this is a game, because it honestly is just like Simon Says. But I've done it and I've gotten softer and softer. So you'll notice the kids, they'll go, they can't hear. And so they're trying really hard to hear. And suddenly they're reading my lips, or if all else fails, they're just doing what they see me to do. But everybody's just really locked in and trying to follow whatever this is, because nobody wants to miss out playing a game. So you have never lost your cool. You've always kept that smile on your face, and you've done this very inclusive, fun little game that brings down the temperature of the room. Suddenly everybody's focused and everybody's dialed in. Here's another one that's very much like it, and this was taught by a teaching colleague of mine named Erin Elliott. This one is called Mirror Me. So I'm going to do some things, and I would like for you to be my mirror. If you see me do it, you do that. You don't mirror my words, just my motions. So I did a lightning gesture in there, right? And I caught Brett by surprise. And that's exactly how I planned. I go, oh, I caught you. I caught you. You were not quite watching. So let's keep going. Hands together is the easiest for the kids to follow. You can do things that cross the midline because these are things that do really well in engaging that left brain, right brain. So I could reach over, touch a shoulder, and reverse it. But always there's something surprising in there. They never quite know, when is that gonna happen? I don't know about this crazy lady. And again, they just stay with you. So there's a lot of different options for this little game. But I will tell you that if you use it successfully, if you are very patient about doing it and you really wait for the kids to catch on to the game, the people observing you will think you have a superpower. It's a super easy little game, but I've never seen it fail yet, including yesterday. It was the most amazing thing watching those kids just calm down. All of a sudden, it's like they're all dialed in. They're ready to go. Yes, it just makes you so happy. So there's that. I'm going to say that you can also use that exact same technique if I'm going to teach choreography without having to get up, because of course musicals require some choreography. If I have especially kind of that worship themed choreography, the nice thing is that if you use this exact technique to teach that, so here's an example. This was a little song called Children of the World, and I'm not going to tell you the words, I'm just going to have you mirror me. Good job. I'm going to do it one more time. So because they're mirroring you, they're imitating really everything that you're doing, including the style that I'm moving in. And I haven't had to list anything. I haven't had to talk at all. And I may not even introduce what it is we're doing that for. I may, as part of our early arrivers, just call that, okay, we're going to do mirror me. And I may teach them that routine. But later, when you find out that we're going to learn choreography to Children of the World and we come to the chorus, it goes like this. When the children of the world sing Alleluia. When the children of the world sing Alleluia. See, they already know it. And they get really excited about it. Miss Kim, I already know it. Yes, you do. You are a genius. So it's wonderful because you've accomplished it without having to talk too much on your own accord. So that's another really good tip. And again, I would say that that's probably one of my more important ones. I'm trying to think, oh, here's the last thing. I'm going to end on this. There is a game, if you are set to dismiss, and it's always a problem when you're dismissing because you have all of those kids one at a time, they're all yakking with each other, it always gets too loud, and you're listening for their names, right? And it's just, classroom management wise, I get really, I start to get very nervous if things feel out of control or too loud for me. So I have all kinds of tricks for solving that problem. My friend Karen Fate, though, taught me the very best one, and this is a game. They will play it approximately 4,000 times. It never gets old. You will think it's old. They never think it's old. And it is called Night at the Crazy Museum. You probably know it as statues, but it's called Night at the Crazy Museum. You can use it in a lot of ways for some theater purposes as well. But all you do is you ask people, they cannot sit and they cannot lay down on the floor. They have to pretend that they are at a very strange type of museum. And if you want to use a theme for the museum, you could call it a superhero museum. You could call it the, what else? The superhero museum. You call it the sports museum. You could create anything that you would like, right? But we're going to at least start with them just posing by themselves. You have to pick a pose, and now you have to hold it. And then someone is the guard. So you've got everybody posed, and their goal is to not get caught by the guard. If the guard sees you move, you are out. So you start it with this really dramatic narration, and maybe I'm the first museum guard. So you guys both hit your pose. Go ahead. Hit some kind of pose. I love it. It was a dark night at the crazy museum, and the museum guard was determined to catch some of the crazy things that she had been hearing. What could be making the noise? Now, when I turn my back on you as the museum guard, the fun is you're going to change poses. And I'm going to turn around and go, did you move? Wait a minute. I don't seem to remember seeing that pose. What could be going on here? And every time, yes, exactly. You have the game. That's exactly right. And my goal is to catch you. And to make it changed up a little bit and to give it some drama relevance, what you can do is you can put them in groups of 2 or 3 and tell them you have to work together to create your pose. And you have to decide together when you're going to change it. So it puts a little bit of that improv thought into that game. It's a quiet game. That's the really nicest thing about it. The only noise that you are likely to see or hear is a child going, oh, I wasn't out. Well, you're going to get another turn in just a minute. Just go ahead and sit down. But otherwise, it is completely silent. And so as those parents are coming in and they're saying, okay, I'm here for Eric, Eric just quietly exits. So it's a very good classroom management thing. And I think that that is all I have for you now for this little musical drama game plan. But again, my contact information, if there's any of that that seems unclear, you get in contact with me anytime, and I am happy to share literally anything that we have. And I just hope that you're going to have a successful time as we all sort of get rebooted and start meeting with our children's choirs again. Thanks, you guys. You've been a blessing.